Okay, folks. All right, folks. Again, this is Doug Pinkham with Pinkham & Associates. We are a dedicated family law firm here in Orange County, California. I'm helping with, this video is about filling out the Schedule of Assets and Debts, the FL-142, part of the Declarations of Disclosure format. The FL-142 can also be used for other purposes other than the Declaration of Disclosure. So you may be watching this video as part of another segment also. But right now we're talking about the FL-142, Schedule of Assets and Debts. So if you have that form already pulled up, great. If not, pause this video and pull up an FL-142. Some of you can see me filling out or see the form as we're working, and some of you cannot. But if you have it in front of you, you'll be able to work from it, and we'll go line by line. All right. So at the very top, just like every other form, is your name and your address. On the top right of this form is your telephone number. So then your name, address. Down here where it says attorney for, again, if you're filling out your own paperwork, you're going to put your own name in there. Then it says Superior Court, California, County of, put the county in which you're filing your forms. Where it says petitioner, put the petitioner's name there. Again, the petitioner is always the same as the petitioner from the very beginning. It never changes. And the respondent, put the respondent's name there. If you're the petitioner, put your name there. If you're the respondent, put your name under respondent. Then, if this is your Schedule of Assets and Debts, and you're the petitioner, you're going to mark the petitioner's box underneath Schedule of Assets and Debts. If you're the respondent, you're going to mark the respondent's box. It's never going to be both. It's never going to be both of those marked at the same time. Then on the right over there, going to put the case number in there. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this instruction to you because this is important. It says, list all your known community and separate assets or debts, including assets even if they are in the possession of the other person, including your spouse, if you contend, or another person, including your spouse, if you contend an asset or debt is separate, in other words, separate property, your separate property, or the other party's separate property. Put a P for petitioner or an R for respondent in the first column to indicate who you contend that property belongs to. Give you an example. If you owned a motorcycle or a bicycle or a really cool piece of antique furniture before you got married, that is your separate property. Make sure when you list it on this document, you put a P if you're the petitioner or an R if you're the respondent in that first column. Okay, and I'll give you some examples on here. If you're watching this and seeing the form, then I'll give you an example. All right, so that's the instructions. Oh, wait, let me go further. There's a little bit more. All values should be as of the date of signing this declaration unless you specify a different valuation date with the description. For additional space, use a continuation sheet numbered to show which item is being continued. So you can literally, if you need more space for any reason, you can take out a simple piece of lined paper or a yellow pad or whatever, and just put, if you had, for example, 30 pieces of real estate, it wouldn't all fit on here. So you just put a 1 and the other real estate information on the continuation sheet. And you want to list it on that continuation sheet exactly the way it is on this form. So a separate property column, date acquired column, current market value, and amount of money that's owed on the property or encumbered. All right, so let's go down this form a little bit, and let's move down to the number 1 box, real estate. So let's say, for example, you and your spouse own a piece of real estate. Well, actually, let's do this first. Let's say you owned a piece of property before marriage, And that's listed, and that's located at 125 Main Street in Tustin, California, 92780. And let's say that you're the petitioner and you owned that before you got married, outright. No payments, no nothing owed on it. You owned it completely before marriage. And let's say you acquired that in December of 1998. Could have been from an inheritance or however you acquired that property. You're going to list the date that you acquired it in the space marked date acquired. Then you're going to put the fair market value, current gross fair market value. And let's say it's worth $785,000. And let's say, since you own it outright and you're not making payments, let's say there's nothing owed on it. Now let's say the next property, let's say this is a property that you own with your spouse, and that's 1207, who cares what street? Let's say it's on May Lane, and that's in Anaheim. All right, and let's say you own that together, so we're not going to put anything under separate property. And let's say you guys acquired that in February of 2015. And let's say the present fair market value of that is $618. That's your estimate. That's what you believe it's worth. So you put $618 there. And let's say you and your spouse owe $400,000 on it. So you put $400 there. And let's say that's the only real estate you have. So that's how you would fill out the real estate section. If you have more pieces of real estate, you're going to list all your real estate, including raw land. If you own a timeshare that comes with a deed, you can list it here, or you can list it in the other section at the bottom. Let's keep going on. All right, so the next section is household furniture and furnishings and appliances. Here's the way I handle this. I usually, instead of listing every couch and every refrigerator and the stove and the air conditioning unit that's in the bedroom window of the spare bedroom, instead of listing all of that, and you can use that attachment, I usually just put assorted household furniture and furnishings and then put a price, a value on that. Now, keep in mind, if you have anything of significant value, if you've got a $9,000 refrigerator, then you might want to list the refrigerator, especially if you know that you're going to be wanting to take that refrigerator with you, or if your wife is intending, or your spouse or your husband is planning on taking that refrigerator with them upon this divorce. If you've got a piano, probably want to list it. If you've got a $22,000 valued, hutch, or Anwar or something, you might want to list that. No, you will want to list that. So, I mean, but if everything you have is, 15-year-old couches that neither of you really care about, you can put assorted and just put a value over here to the right. So in this case, I'm going to put assorted. They don't really have, in this case, there's not really any significant property or significant property value. So I'm going to put assorted furniture and furnishings. Over here to the right, the value of your personal property, your furniture and furnishings, is the value you would get if you picked up that couch and put it on the curb and sold it at a garage sale. What's the value of a couch at a garage sale? Probably a little bit different in the heart of San Francisco than it would be, on the outskirts of some tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Probably get a better deal in the middle of nowhere. But generally speaking, an entire house full of furniture, I don't care how nice that furniture is, probably not more than a few $1,000s worth. Generally speaking, if it's worth more than $3,000 or $4,000, then you've got some valuable property, and you're going to want to list those items of value, at least of significant value, separately. So let's put 2,300 here. And let's say that's their estimate. That's the estimate of their value. If they picked everything up, put it on and they don't owe anything on their furniture. So that's 0 off to the far right. Sometimes in here, let's say, for example, one spouse has already left the home. You guys have already split up. You've already taken some of the property with you and left some of the property with your spouse. You can put assorted furniture and furnishings with husband, assorted furniture and furnishings with wife, and give a separate value. If you've split it right down the middle, maybe it's $1,000 each, maybe it's $1,500 each. Heck, maybe it's $300 each. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. All right. On the bottom, we've got jewelry, antiques, art, coin collections, etc. This isn't the other section, but if you've got anything of significant value in jewelry, antiques, art, coin collections, you're going to want to list them here and make it complete. So let's say, for example, wife's wedding ring set. And let's say it's pretty significant. Let's say it's worth about, let's say it's worth $18,000. Really nice. Now, here's the thing. What's the value here? The value here is the value you would get if you sold it. Well, let's say, for example, you sold that wedding ring set back to a jeweler. Trust me on this one, that jeweler is going to take every inch of advantage of you that they possibly can. So you're probably not going to get $18,000 out of the value of that, $18,000 set. So let's say you only get about half that. So let's say it's worth about $9,000 when you have to sell it that way. Now, a wedding ring set is, generally speaking, a gift to the wife. And if that's true, then let's say the wife is the respondent, you're going to put R as separate property in that first column. Okay? Now let's say that wedding ring, just as a little tidbit and a little background here, let's say that wedding ring set is worth $50,000. And let's say that the ring itself and then say some smaller stones around that are probably really only worth about $3,500. But you have a very significant diamond on there, flawless, colorless, beautiful stone, 3.2 carats, and it's worth $50,000. Let's say it's worth $90,000, but you think you can actually sell it for $50,000. Now here's the deal. Let's say, for example, when that was purchased, it was actually purchased 6 months into your marriage with money that you earned during the marriage. Now, and you decided to buy this really significantly beautiful stone as an investment. Now that gift is actually community property because it was more of an investment than just the gift. So you could put the diamond here, 3.2 carats. All right. And you could put over here, what did we say? We thought we could sell it for about $50,000. So I'm going to put that there. Obviously, this might be something that's argued later by the other side. No, it's a gift. It was all a gift. We make, $2.6 million a year, so a $50,000 stone or a $100,000 stone was nothing to us. It wasn't a significant investment. Therefore, it's not community property. It's just a gift to me. Maybe the argument that wife makes. That's up to you when you're disclosing. Keep in mind, this is your disclosure. This is your opinion of these values and these items. All right, so let's move on to page 2. At the top of page 2 is vehicles. Pretty straightforward. This is any vehicle, trailer, boat, blah, blah, blah. So let's say you've got a 2017 Mercedes SL55. And let's say that it's community property. You bought it during the marriage. You bought that in April of 2014. Excuse me, it's a 17. So let's say you bought that in 2018. And let's say the current fair market value of that is $110,000. and you still owe $36,000 on it. Okay, so that's how you would list that kind of a car. Let's say, for example, you've got a boat. Let's say you've got a Commander 2300 LX. And let's say, for example, you bought that in June of 2010. And let's say that boat is presently worth $15,000, but you don't owe anything on that boat. And of course, that Commander came with a trailer, so don't know. Let's say we don't know what the name of the trailer is. Boat trailer, we're at least disclosing it. We don't know the name of it. Boat trailer, we also got that at the same time as we got the boat. Boat trailer's worth about $3,000, and that too, you don't owe anything on that. Let's say you have a 2016 Harley Softail motorcycle. Okay, and let's say you got that in, let's say you bought it used in 2017, and let's say it is valued at $8,500. And let's say you still owe $5,200 on it. And that's how you'd handle that. You could have off-road vehicles. Let's say we have, and you shouldn't do this if they're of significant value, but let's say we have 3 Honda 3-wheel motorcycles, off-road dirt bikes. So that's how I would name that. I'd call it 3 Honda 3-wheel dirt bikes. Date acquired, you got them in 2011. Total value of these, they're real old. Let's say the total value of this whole thing is about $1,500, and you don't owe anything on that. So that's how you would handle the vehicles, boats, and trailers section. All right, let's move on to number 5, which is savings accounts. And let's say, for example, you have a Bank of America savings account. And what I like to do is I like to put the last 4 digits of the numbers. So I'll put last of 3287 or whatever the last 4 numbers on the account is. Sometimes I'll put his or hers. Whoever has their name on that account. It doesn't necessarily mean it's their separate property because I'm not putting a P or an R in the separate property section. Date acquired the bank account. If you can remember what month and year you open the account, that's what you'd put there. But generally, you just want to put over here what's in the account. And let's say there's about $5,000 in that account today, and you don't have any loans against that account, so that's there. Let's say that's the only savings account you have, so that's the only one you list. But if there's other savings accounts, you need to list all of them, and that's any accounts that either of you own. Okay? Checking accounts. Let's say you've got a Chase Bank account, the branch. Oh, forgot the branch. So let's say up here, let's say that branch is also in Tustin. Let's say this Chase Bank down here under 6, this checking account. Let's say your Chase Bank checking account is from Brea. So you put Brea there, and then I put last of 5456, whatever the last 4 numbers. And let's say in that account right now, how much money is in that checking account? So right now there's $2,300. So I put $2,300 in there. And there's 0 money owed against it, so I put 0 on the far right. Let's say you also have the Bank of America checking. That one is out of Garden Grove, California, and last of 2650. All right, and still not separate property. Don't remember exactly when I got it. You can put, by the way, if you don't know when you open the account, You can put unknown here. You should try to figure out when you opened it up. Get online, look online, call your bank, do whatever you need to do. You should put when you open the account. So let's say it's March of 2016. Let's say this one was in August of 2010 when we open this one. And let's say that this is the joint account that we usually use, and it's got a little more money in it. It's got $4,500 in there. Again, zero money borrowed against it, so zero over there. And you would list the rest of your checking accounts here. Okay? Now, if your checking accounts or your savings accounts are at a credit union, then you're going to want to skip the ones above for banks, and you're going to go down to section 7 for credit unions, and you list both bank accounts or checking accounts and savings accounts in there, and just list the branch, obviously, and also whether it's a checking or a savings account. And then, of course, fill it out the same way. These folks don't have any credit union accounts. So we're going to move down here to cash. Oh, by the way, when I have a client that doesn't have something, I usually just put none in the section underneath the title of the section. So credit union accounts, no credit union accounts. So in that big box to the left, I just put none. 8, cash. So if you're a man and you carry, $60, $80, $100 in your wallet, put 60, 80, 100, whatever you normally carry in your wallet, put that in there. So I would put wallet, and over here I'd put, $80, whatever you normally carry in your wallet. If you're a lady and you usually carry, $40 in your purse, or $600, or whatever you carry normally, go ahead and list it there. If she carries $600 generally, put 600 there. Tax refunds. This is if you're anticipating, as you sit here now, filling out your forms, are you anticipating a tax refund? If the answer is no, just put none. If it is, put yes, federal, or just put federal or state, California state, and then put whatever the value of what you expect is coming to you over in the value. So if you're expecting $11,000 coming back to you or $850 coming back to you, you're going to put that in that value section. These folks that I'm filling the form out for, let's say it's none. Life insurance with a cash surrender value or loan. So what this means is this is like a whole life policy. If you have a Washington Mutual whole life policy, insurance policy, and there's a cash surrender value, you're going to need to list that account, the insurance policy number, and to the right, you're going to put the value, the cash surrender value at the time you're filling this out. So if the cash surrender value is $11,000 at the time of filling this out, put $11,000 there. My clients here have none, so I'm going to put none. Now we're moving on to page 3. At the top of page 3 are stocks, bonds, secured notes, mutual funds. So let's say they have an Ameritrade mutual fund account, and if this is so, you're going to need to then attach a statement to this account, to this form when you serve it. But let's say the current fair market value of this is $34,000. And let's say they haven't borrowed any money against it, so that's 0. Now, let's say, for example, they have a trading account also. Let's say that there is an Ameritrade trading account. So it's not a mutual fund account. You trade stocks, bonds, whatever you want in it. I would put that here also. And I would put the last 4 of that account number, 32, whatever it is. And I would put the last 4 of this mutual fund account also. Forgot to put that in here. That's 1198 or whatever it really is. So this Ameritrade trading account that ends in 7432, you're going to want to put the present fair market value of that account. So let's say you're just playing with $18,000 in that account, and you have not borrowed any money against that, so there's no money encumbered. And let's say that's the only ones you have there. Okay. Let's say that, okay, now we're moving on to section 12. Let's say that one of you or both of you have a pension or some form of a retirement. In this section, I would put, let's say there's a Boeing pension. Boeing. Okay, and if there's an account number, then I would list the last of that, 9963, whatever the last four of that account is. You're going to need to attach a statement regarding this pension, your most recent statement to this. And by the way, this is declarations of disclosure. So when I say you need to attach a statement to it, you need to actually attach all of the statements you have. If you've been saving every single statement you've ever had for 30 years, guess how many you have to show the other side? 30 years worth. So this is disclosing everything you have that has anything to do with income, expenses, assets, and debts. That's all I'm going to say on that. It's literally everything that you have, all information regarding any income, expenses, assets, and debts. All right, folks, and let's say this pension, the value of a pension is unknown until you die, because you get paid a certain amount of money per month forever until you die. So I will put unknown here because I don't know what the value of a pension is. I don't even know how to value a pension. That's why we have experts that do that for us. But let's say you also have a Boeing 401k. 401ks are different. The last four of this account number is 3233, and a 401k account is a cash value. You actually know the value of that account at the end of each term. So let's say you get a monthly statement or a quarterly statement. And let's say at the end of the quarter, your last quarterly statement said it was worth $217,000. Then you're going to put 217 in there, or whatever the present value is. You oftentimes can get online and look at the value of your 401k at any time. And if you can, do that. And also attach a copy of whatever you're reading online. So print it out and attach it to this set of disclosures. If there's any other retirements or pensions, list them in here similarly. If there is any profit sharing, annuities, or IRAs that you guys own, or deferred compensation, that's listed in 13. In my case, let's say my clients have none. If you own a business or used to own a business and you have accounts receivables or unsecured notes that are owed to you, you're going to list those under 14 and the value to the right. In my case, I'm going to have my clients are saying they own none of those. Oopsie. All right. So, then we've got, if, for example, you own a business, then we're going to put 15. Number 15 is partnerships and other business interests. If you own a business or a partnership, you're going to list that business here. Let's say you own a little business called ABC Printing. If this is the case, then you're going to need to attach your K-1 statements if you're a corporation, Schedule C, whatever you've got. And it's also going to be part of your taxes, and your taxes are going to be part of this disclosure also. But make sure that you attach your Schedule C or your K-1s to this specific form also. If the business has a value, which generally it will, even if it's small, it may have some small value, you're going to put that value to the right. However, if you don't know the value of the business, you can put unknown. I mean, if you have no idea what the value of the business is, and that's pretty common, you can put unknown. All right. Then, number 16 is other assets. By the way, if you know the value of the business for some reason, put the value of the business in there. You need to disclose it if you know it. All right. Other assets. This is a section for catch-all. If there's something that you own and you didn't know where to put it, listed here. Let's say, for example, you had a set of old silver dollars. Where would you put that? Would you put that in this section? No. You would go back to the bottom of page 1 where it said jewelry, antiques, art, coin collections. I would put that set of silver dollars here. So let's do that. Set of silver dollars. And let's say you've had it valued and it was valued at $2,800. Then you put that there, and of course you don't owe any money against it, so put a 0 there. I'm going to put zeros here also. If you're watching me fill out this form, you're seeing me put in some zeros. That's money that's owed against those items, and let's say there's no money owed against those items. So this is a place to put other items. You might want to put, say, that Trek bicycle that one of you owns, and let's say that's worth $1,100. That might be a good place to put that. Let's say it was the respondents before marriage, or maybe they even bought it with money they earned after you guys separated. That would also be separate property, and you could put that separate property thing note there in the first column. All right, folks, that is the assets portion of the schedule of assets and debts. Let's move on to page 4. And this is where we get into debts. At the top, section 19 is student loans. Let's say wife has student loans that she incurred before marriage in the amount of $40,000. $40,000. And that was incurred in say she graduated in June of 1994. And that would be, let's say wife is the respondent, so we're going to put R there as her separate property debt or separate debt. Now, if you, section 20 is taxes. Do you owe any taxes? Let's say there are federal taxes owed, that you both owe it together, and it's in the amount of $6,000. Date incurred, let's say that was from your 2017 taxes. That's how you would list that. If either of you owe any child support or spousal support or rearages for a different marriage, or even in this marriage, if you know that there's monies owed, you can list that here. I'm going to put none in this. Oops. I'm going to put none in this particular set of forms. 22 are loans unsecured. So, say for example, you took a loan out from your grandmother, and that loan is for $10,000. She hasn't been charging you interest, but the money is still owed and it's still hanging out there. So you could put maternal grandmother Mary Jones, whoever it is, $10,000. And that's how you would list that. Now we go on to section 23. Virtually everybody has some form of credit cards or some amount of credit cards. This is where you list them. So you had that account at Chase. Let's say you've got a Chase Visa, and let's say there's $8,000 owed on that Chase Visa. Let's say you also have a Bank of America MasterCard, and let's say that there's $1,200 owed on that one. Let's say, for example, after separation, one of you took out another credit card. Let's say husband took out a credit card at Home Depot after separation. Holding 1 second, folks. Sorry about that, folks, but hang on 1 second.
Completely off. Stop.
Okay, folks, sorry about that little junction there. Okay, so we're on section 16, other assets. If there is anything else that you or your spouse own that is not listed somewhere else in this form, this is where you list it. And list the values and any debt against that asset in here, just like you have every other asset. Okay? Then let's move on to, so that's the extent of all the assets. The next page, page 4, starts at the top with debts. So let's start with section 19, student loans. This is where you would list if either of you have student loans. Let's say wife had student loans from before marriage. So let's say that wife had borrowed $40,000 worth, and it was incurred in, she graduated June of 2004, long before marriage. And so that's how that would go, and it's wife's separate property. So we're going to put, and she was the respondent, so we're going to mark, put an R in that first column. Number 20, section 20 is for taxes. If you owe any taxes, let's say federal taxes owed from 2016 tax year, you can list it that way, and let's say it's $8,500 and taxes still owed. All right. Then section 21, support arrearages. If either of you owe any support arrearages, that's where you would list them here. I'm going to put in this for this section, and for these people, I'm going to put none. 22, loans or unsecured loans, unsecured loans. So let's say, for example, maternal grandmother loaned the respondent $5,000 and it's never been paid back. But it was during the marriage. So let's say it was loaned to the couple. I'm not going to put it as separate property in that first column. And but we're going to list that $5,000 as the total amount owed because nothing's been paid back. And let's say grandma's not charging interest, so we're just going to put $5,000 there. The next section, 23, is a section for credit cards. This is a place to list all credit cards for both parties, and the approximate debt owed on each card. So this can be extensive sometimes. This might be a place where you need an attachment form, or you can continue the credit cards down into the other debt section, section 24. So let's say, for example, there's a Home Depot credit card that husband took out after separation. So we're going to put petitioner as his separate property, and let's say he borrowed $2,200 on that credit card, still owes it, but it was money that was owed after the date of separation, so that's his separate property. Then down here in the other section, oh, and by the way, you're going to list all the credit cards. In the other section, list any other debts that are owed by either party. Then, at the bottom, when you're done, you're going to date it. You're going to handwrite your name in there. You're going to sign it off to the right. All right, folks. Again, my name was Doug Pinkham. I am the senior attorney here at Pinkham & Associates, a dedicated family law firm, and I hope this video has been helpful. And continue on with the rest of my videos. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.